lights, Veterans Parade, and hey, that's it. Where's PG&E?
We're going to start right on time. Everyone here, please make sure that you've signed in and that you've provided an email address. I'm going to be sending out a participant feedback form to everyone involved today. If you want to fill it out, provide feedback for the after action report. It helps us not only for our operations, but for also, this is an annual event, but for also doing the next event next year. If you saw anything maybe we could have done better, or things we can work on, or things that you can think of that you'd like to train on in the future, if you guys provide that feedback, then maybe we can incorporate more things in the upcoming trainings. Welcome everyone. This is the 2013 disaster exercise. This has been months of planning, and a lot of you have put in a lot of dedication. So thank you as individuals, thank you as agencies for sending personnel and for offering to be a part of this. My name is Rochelle Whiting. I'm a sergeant in the Sheriff's Office, and I run the Office of Emergency Services day-to-day operations for any of you that don't know me. So major large-scale disasters, anything in the county that requires just a little bit more coordination is the point where the Sheriff's Office of Emergency Services gets involved. For today's purposes, your exercise, your scenario, today, Saturday, April 20th at about 9 a.m., the Calaveras County Office of Emergency Services got a request to open a warming center at the community hall in Mountain Ranch due to extreme cold weather for the past couple days with power outages affecting residents in Sheep Ranch and all of the surrounding area. With warming centers, we don't just generally, if there's a power outage, we don't automatically open a warming center. It's only done when it's multiple days. PG&E informs us this is going to be a long-term restoration of power, then we start thinking about opening a warming center. Otherwise, the power goes out, you open a warming center, really you just open a homeless shelter, which we don't do in our county. So that's going to start the scenario. To complicate matters, there are some road closures. Railroad Flat Road is closed at Murray Creek Road due to a sinkhole in the middle of the roadway. Sheep Ranch Road is closed just northeast of Avery Sheep Ranch Road due to downed trees and a large landslide. At 9:15, there's a tour bus accident containing passengers on Cave City Road. 911 reports from witnesses on scene indicate many injuries in the bus, several dead, debris scattered around the scene, power lines down, arcing on and around the bus. The bus is teetering near the brink of an embankment with many windows blown out. The front end is crushed, parts of the roof are peeled back. That's in the scenario. I don't know if they did that to the bus.
I don't
might stop that. I wouldn't put it past Chief Stone to be down there peeling off the roof. Okay, so what's going to happen as far as agency personnel? We'll start with the warming center and we'll handle that. As far as leaving the scene, we're not going to do the initial dispatch. This is for fire and medics. We're not going to do the initial dispatch, but once you are released from this point on, as far as fire personnel, you will be talking on Command 5, Tone 9. Your dispatcher, what's your designator? Are you using San Andreas or are you using a different one? Mountain Ranch?
Let's use Mountain Ranch.
Okay, designated Mountain Ranch for dispatch, fire, Command 5, Tone 9. Once you leave the scene, you can let them know, let her know you're en route, you're on scene, any other traffic you do down there. The tactical net that we are dealing for radio down at the scene is CalTac. And that is for fire. EMS personnel, you will not be using MedNet 9 when you leave here, so you will not be talking with SO Dispatch. However, for EMS, when you get on scene down there, part of this exercise, there are people down at the base hospital at Mark Twain Medical Center that are expecting to hear from you on MedNet 3. Part of the exercise is your communication between the accident scene, dealing with victims, and talking to the base hospital and them entering everything into EM systems and patient tracking and all of that. So the hospital is playing in this exercise and they are expecting your communication. Our objectives as far as us putting on the putting on the exercise today. Provide for safety of all event participants. Provide a meaningful training environment for all participants, and maintain accountability for all drill participants. Our operational objectives: assess the operational coordination of first responders to cooperatively handle the mass casualty incident. Assess the interoperable communication capabilities between multiple first responder agencies. And assess the response capabilities of Red Cross and CERT volunteers to establish, staff, and equip emergency shelters during winter storm power outage. I'm handling incident command as far as the overall exercise. As far as the accident scene itself, you guys will follow your MCI protocols for arriving on scene, establishing your IC and your ICS structure. Chief Stone down there is at the accident scene, the MCI scene, is going to be facilitating. You will have 3 evaluators with clipboards. They are just going to be watching the overall operation and conducting an evaluation on how everything went, and that'll be included in the after action report. Down at the MCIC, control operations: provide for a safe accident scene, implement the ICS system appropriately, safely and effectively triage all patients and arrange for their transportation, maintain effective communication between the different agencies. For those down at the accident scene, 10:30 is the scheduled time for the PHI helicopter. Your designated LC is the ballpark here. So at whatever point, I'm not saying there is injuries that requiring a helicopter, but just in case there are, keep in mind 10:30 the helicopter will be coming. If you have multiple victims, the helicopter is prepared to land, have ground verbal conversations with the ground unit, and then they will lift up, circle around, and land again if you have multiple victims. After the conclusion of PHI's participation, if anyone wants to stick around and head over to the ballpark, they would like to do a landing zone training with anyone interested in that. Our safety officer here, the lovely man here that made up the safety plan in the ICP here, is going to go over the safety plan.
Good morning, my name's Scott Fremd. I'm the battalion chief here in TCU. Let's take a brief moment to go over the safety message. Everybody can turn to it in your IAP. Okay, first point is use of full safety gear is a requirement, not an option, and use safety gear that's appropriate for the task. So whatever task that you're performing today, whether it be extrication, patient transfer, whatever, follow your department protocols for that task. That involves full turnouts and BSI precautions. Go ahead and use those, because especially at the MCI drill, you're going to play like your practice, okay? Maintain situational awareness of your surroundings, especially while working or traveling on the roadway, okay? Most of the roads in this area have been shut down, but the traffic between here and the drill site, make sure that you travel there safely, and once you're actually at your site location, pay attention to that. At the MCI drill, we've got use good body mechanics when lifting and moving objects. You'll probably be moving multiple patients today. All right, lift with your legs, not your back, and look for objects that may cause slips or falls. All right, even though this is a drill, I've had many MCI drills where we've ended up having patients that aren't involved in the drill because of a slip, fall, or an injury to their back. Be a good partner and watch your coworkers' physical and mental condition. Supervisors maintain accountability of your personnel. All right, what that means to me is if you're working in groups, like I said, you're going to practice like you play. If you go back to the incident we just had in Boston, all right, be aware of and try to set your mind into a scenario somewhat like that. Pay attention to your partner's well-being, your partner's physical well-being, and report that to your supervisors. If anybody has any issues, in reality, that would be reported to your division, your branch, or your group. Okay. Next one is to stay hydrated. I think max temp today is supposed to be 79. but if you're going to operate in a condition where you're wearing full turnouts, proper PPE, etc., we're just starting to get acclimated to a little bit warmer weather. Hydration will be a big issue on this incident like it is on any other one. Okay. More specifically, use the incident radio plan and common communications. All right, that's something that's supposed to be tested today. One thing I did put in there is use good radio discipline. All right, just get your message out and make it short and concise because the air will get really crowded at one of these incidents. All right. Imagine that your radio, you've been given a roll of quarters, and once you use up your roll of quarters, you can't talk on your radio anymore. All right, so we don't need a whole bunch of needless chatter on the radio. Okay. Last one, your best PPE is your brain. If it's predictable, it's preventable. Okay, use common sense. So, everybody here has a degree of that, some more than others. So use common sense when you're operating out here today. And any injuries that you have, no matter how small, report to your direct supervisor. We'll make the decision whether you need to be transported or treated at scene. Okay? All right. Everybody have a good day and a safe day. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. All right, those operating the shelter. Debbie Calco is your evaluator. Dennis Lewis has Red Cross. Marty Tedder has the CERT team with Dory being the evaluation and PT, wherever you are. We have the amateur radio guys that are handling the radio communications. Because we do have interoperability issues, which is one of the things that we're looking at and we're evaluating today, if there is issues between communications between agencies, that is a nice thing that we do have available that we put in a part of our planning for our county is the amateur radio people. So I will have an amateur radio guy, Mr. Brown here shadowing me. There will be one shadowing the IC down at the scene, and there will be, they'll be handling communications up at the shelter. So if you need to talk back in between these locations, if the normal channels don't work, we have that as a backup communications. I didn't cover when I talked about PHI, the ground to air communication is normal. You guys would be using CalCord. As far as the control operations for the shelter, assess interoperable communication capabilities between multiple first responder agencies as well as amateur radio capabilities between multiple locations. Assess response capabilities of Red Cross and CERT volunteers to establish staff and equipped emergency shelters during the winter storm cloud. Again, just to reiterate the communications plan, fire agencies, you're on Command 5, Tone 9. Tactical channel at the scene is CalTAC. Air operations on CalCord. Law enforcement, we're on Claymars. EMS, you'll be using MedNet 3 for unit to base hospital. And RACES, you'll be using the Aries channels as designated. The medical plan for this exercise. Immediately report any and all injuries to your immediate supervisor. This is apart from the exercise. This is if you have an actual injury while you're here today. If medical treatment is needed, contact the IC on the command net. The IC will ensure that the proper resources are provided. If necessary, the IC will contact San Andres ECC on TCU local and request additional resources. This is the incident command post. We have American Legion and we have Ebbets Pass here as our emergency medical services. They are dedicated to the exercise itself. If we need to bring in outside resources, we will, but otherwise we have them here. And the base hospital designated here is Mark Twain Medical Center. There are volunteer sheriff's office patrol units on the roadway on the way down there. That was because of our public works road use permit for this exercise. We had to set up traffic control prior to the start of the exercise. Once you guys get down into the accident scene, whatever you would normally set up for your traffic control, go ahead and do so and the volunteers will disappear. Your weather forecast for today was sunny with a high near 74 degrees, light wind and variable wind becoming west-northwest 5 to 10 miles per hour in the afternoon. So mid-70s, but just as Prim said, keep your hydration and keep an eye on yourselves. So how we're going to start this here is everyone will report back to your vehicles. I just want one agency representative here at the command post. I will have face-to-face communication and let you know when you are clear to respond to the scene. Does anyone have any questions?
Got one last thing on the communications part of it.
Yeah.
So the overall incident, the whole drill is going to be the Mountain Ranch incident, and she's going to be the Mountain Ranch IC. So if you have traffic for her, come up for Mountain Ranch IC. Once we get the bus accident established, we're going to name that the Cave incident. So for traffic specific to the vehicle accident down there, you'll be looking for the Cave IC. So just use the whole name when you're talking on the radio, either Mountain Ranch IC or Cave IC, just so there's no confusion there.
Yeah, I hope so. Any other questions? All right, thank you all again very much. Figure out whoever your one agency rep is per agency and keep them there.